Well, let's analyse the latest for you then. Our international affairs editor, Kethevane Gorjestani, joining me now here on set. Kethevane, the White House facing a lot of criticism for its handling of Pretti's killing. I mean, the blame game seems to be kind of kicking in here, doesn't it?
Yes, and that's really for the words that were used by some top officials right after his killing. Remember, Stephen Miller, Donald Trump's top advisor, called him a would-be assassin. The first statement by the Department of Homeland Security on X talked about that Alex Pretti wanted to massacre law enforcement officials, and Kristi Noem called him a domestic terrorist brandishing a gun. Now, why is there a blame game? It's because the video contradicted all of those claims. And so Stephen Miller yesterday started pointing the finger at Customs and Border Patrol and Greg Bovino for basically feeding the White House wrong information. He said initially the Department of Homeland Security statement was based on reports from CBP on the ground. So it's their fault if we were saying these things. He also insisted that they were evaluating now why the CBP team was not following the protocol that was provided to the DHS by the White House. So he's adding to that the fact that he believes they were not operating how the White House had told them to operate. So Miller is pretty much throwing the CBP under the bus. This after Greg Bovino was pushed aside to be replaced in part by the border czar, Tom Homan. Kristi Noem is pointing the finger at CBP, but also it seems privately pointing the finger at Stephen Miller. She even had a 2-hour meeting with Donald Trump on Monday night. And there were reports in U.S. media that she and her entourage are basically telling everyone that wants to listen that she is not responsible because all she was doing was following orders from Stephen Miller. Clearly, everyone is trying to find someone else to blame, and that is because, according to U.S. media reports, Donald Trump was extremely angered by that handling and by the fact that his officials and the words coming out of the White House were very quickly contradicted by the video, and that is not looking good for him, and he's getting the heat. The White House is getting the heat.
Yeah, it's fascinating to hear the battles behind the scenes, if you like. The official taking all the heat, perhaps from the outside, though, you've already mentioned her, Kristi Noem.
Yes, Kristi Noem is coming under fire, obviously and unsurprisingly, from the Democrats. We're saying she either needs to resign or she's going to face impeachment. Even Democratic senators who had initially voted to confirm her as secretary, like John Fetterman, are now saying she needs to leave. He said she is betraying the DHS's core mission. In the House, Democrats have already introduced articles of impeachment, and the Democratic leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, saying we can do this the easy way, she resigns, or the hard way, going through those impeachment proceedings. Even Republicans are now jumping on the bandwagon, and some of them have some very harsh words for Kristi Noem. That includes Tom Tillis, the senator from North Carolina. We're going to take a look at his words. He really said that she was incompetent, an amateur, that Stephen Miller was in the same boat, and this is what he said. She is taking this administration into the ground on an issue that we should own. We should own the issue of border security and immigration, but they have destroyed that for Republicans, something that got the president elected. They, meaning Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller, have destroyed it through their incompetence. Even the Republican leader in the Senate, John Thune, was asked whether he still had confidence in Kristi Noem. He refused to answer, which in a way is partly an answer. Noem expected to testify in early March in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. But for now, at least, despite all the heat that she's taking, she has the support of the one man that really matters, Donald Trump, who said just yesterday that she was doing a great job.
Yeah, the man who really matters. I mean, is there any heat on him at all? We heard in that report, of course, didn't we, saying that Pretti should not have been carrying a gun. Is that causing any friction?
Well, look, this is causing at least some unease. No one is going fully frontal on criticizing Donald Trump, but it is true that from the White House, we've heard both from Donald Trump, from Kristi Noem, from the FBI director, Kash Patel, that basically the fact that Alex Pretti brought a gun to that protest, in a way, according to them, could have justified the fact that these law enforcement officials decided to shoot at him. That argument initially over the weekend was dismissed by the powerful gun lobby, the NRA, saying it was dangerous and wrong to use that justification. But it seems that Donald Trump's comments actually go further than what we've heard from other White House officials, because other officials have sort of linked, yes, the carrying a gun at a protest, but always adding the part about engaging with a law enforcement officer. Kristi Noem said he was brandishing a gun. Others have said he was interacting with law enforcement officials. For Donald Trump, in his comments, and he made those comments 3 times yesterday in different events, he basically just said he shouldn't have brought a gun to a protest, a point blank, full stop. And that has created even more uneasiness from the Republican Party, because they have been for years, for decades, staunch supporters of the Second Amendment. So some of them have come out not criticizing Donald Trump, but reiterating the position of the Republican Party. Senator Bill Cassidy saying your Second Amendment rights don't disappear when you exercise your other rights, meaning the right to protest, for example. And even on Fox News, which usually tries to spin things in favor of the White House, you had Trey Gowdy, for example, who's a former Republican congressman turned host on Fox News. He said that Republicans who were pointing to Alex Pretti carrying a gun as justification were simply applying double standards. And he reminded his viewers that back in 2020, when there were the protests for Black Lives Matter, if you remember, in Kenosha, Wisconsin, there was a 17-year-old young white man who went to a protest with an AR-15 and ended up killing 2 people. At the time, Trey Gowdy says, us Republicans were praising him, were defending him because he had the right to carry a gun. And today we are going to criticize someone for carrying a gun simply because he's not on our side. So you're seeing there that there's an unease. For politicians, the unease is because they are torn between pressure and importance of support on 2 sides. One is the support of Donald Trump, because we're going towards the midterms and they want his support. The other is the financial support of the gun lobby, of the NRA, who are, of course, big funders of Republican politicians, and that matters in an election year.